Sophie was only 4 years old when her world turned to silence. It was a rainy Saturday morning. Sophie and her parents were together in their small family car. She sat in the back seat, humming to a nursery rhyme, wearing her mom's favorite cloth and swinging with joy. But that journey never ended. As they were going, a speeding truck lost control and ran into them. Silent screams. And in the chaos of flashing lights and broken glass, Sophie was the only one left breathing, but with a broken heart. After the funeral, relatives signed documents and social workers filled forms. Then one evil woman came forward. Her name was Aunt Lydia. She looked like family, but her eyes carried something else: jealousy and bitterness. She voluntarily decided to take Sophie in. But Lydia didn't take Sophie in out of love, but out of the resentment she had towards her younger sister. She gave Sophie the coldest room, with nothing but a thin blanket. Broken toys, no comfort, just walls and silence. Sophie's meals were served poorly. Dry bread, if she was lucky. Watery soup on special days. Some nights, Sophie simply went to bed hungry. When she asked for more, Lydia snapped, "Don't be greedy." Her clothes were scraps. Aunt Lydia refuses to buy Sophie any good clothes. Sophie was commanded to stand on a stool and wash dishes, and was obligated to do the dishes from that day on, barefoot and wearing torn dresses. Her face is emotionless, eyes tired. Aunt Lydia watches from the door with crossed arms. But little did she know that someone is coming to save her. Sophie keeps suffering from the cruelty of her mother-sister jealousy. Miss Helen, a neighbor, who watches from distance as Lydia yells and shouts at Sophie every day for no reason. Helen watches from the background of her home and deeply had compassion for the poor little girl. Helen, who has been watching how Lydia has poorly treated and maltreated Sophie, she plows with concerned eyes, watching Sophie from the distance of her home. And on a fateful day when Helen have had enough of her Lydia's impunity, she walks angrily across the small yard between the houses, fists clenched, her face determined. She knocked Aunt Lydia open. Miss Helen angrily confronts Aunt Lydia on the doorstep. Lydia stands with arms folded and dismissive, while Helen shouts emotionally, "Why are you treating this child this way? Don't you have any human sympathy?" Lydia spat back, "Mind your business." But Helen stood firm. "I have no child, but I have love. Let her come with me." Sophie, behind the screen door, heard it all, and her heart pounded in joy. After hearing everything Miss Helen has said, Sophie couldn't help but ran outside. And she said to Miss Helen, "I will go with you. I don't want to stay with this woman anymore." Sophie said that with her voice trembling. Helen stands firmly in front of Lydia, gesturing to Sophie. Lydia's face twists in rage, while Sophie's expression is confused but hopeful. Miss Helen, hearing what Sophie said, she took with her to her home. Sophie sat at Helen's couch. Sophie sat wrapped in a soft blanket on a colorful sofa, holding a bowl of ice cream. She looks amazed at the cozy room full of warm colors and family photos. Helen sits beside her, gently comforting her. A warm blanket wrapped around her. A bowl of real food in her hands. And for the first time in years, she ate until she was full. Helen gave her one of her beautiful rooms. Sophie slept in a soft bed. No yelling, no fear, just peace. For a long time, peace seemed like a distant fantasy to Sophie. In time, Sophie bloomed. Laughter returned. She played in the yard with Biscuit, barefoot by choice now, not by force. Her eyes no longer hollow, her soul no longer hungry. They were not blood, but they were family. And Sophie, once unloved and unseen, grew up knowing what real love felt like. Not from an aunt who shared her mother's name, but from a stranger who refused to look away. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's who steps in when no one else will. Like and subscribe for more.